Congressman Marcy Kaptur is probably one of the most important women on the Appropriations Committee for many years. And I have such a pleasure in introducing her because she's from a great state. She's from the state of Ohio. And she is the longest serving woman in the House of Representatives. She's been a great friend to us. She has a long history of being featured as a guest on VOA's Ukrainian television programs. She is the co-chair of the Ukrainian Caucus, which is a group of lawmakers focusing on U.S.-Ukrainian relations. She has an amazing, just incredible experience and knowledge of Ukraine, and she is the leading expert on issues in the House related to international trade and human rights and labor issues. She also has a personal connection with Ukraine because I understand that your maternal grandparents lived in Western Ukraine. She was elected in the Toledo area in 1982. She holds several very, very important positions in the House, and as I mentioned, she is a senior Democratic woman on the House Appropriations Committee and serves on many very important subcommittees, including defense. In the 111th Congress, Congresswoman Kaptur was appointed to serve on the House Budget Committee. So you go way back in the House and local. They say all politics is local. She started off as a city and regional planner, and she's worked around the country before serving as an advisor in the Carter White House. I want to thank you before I bring you up here, Congresswoman Kaptur, because you have been our friend. You have done a lot to support us. As you know, we're a bipartisan board, and we really respect the members of the House and the Senate from both sides of the aisle who understand our mission, who care about us, and who protect important services like this Ukrainian service. It is with that in mind, I have to say, we really thank you, and we are so looking forward to having you join us in this recognition of what is going on for 60 years in Ukraine. Congresswoman Kaptur.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, and what a great moment it is this morning, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you all for Mr. Ambassadors. Thank you so very much for being here as co-chair of the Congressional Ukrainian Caucus. It is a great pleasure to be here today to honor the 60th anniversary of the Voice of America's Ukrainian language broadcast. For 6 decades, the Voice of America has provided an unfiltered flow of information to the people of Ukraine, a people who were and still are thirsty for the truth. The truth about the present, the truth about the past, and hopefully a keyhole on the future. During the Cold War, the Voice of America could not be stopped by the troops on the border, the tanks on the ground, or concrete walls. When Ukraine was deafened by oppression, she could still hear the voice of America. And today, as Ukraine seeks to strengthen her blooming democracy, the Voice of America's Ukrainian language broadcast continues to provide the Ukrainian people with an unbiased news source. It is essential a voice today as it was when it began. I have visited the Ukraine numerous times and have witnessed how she has changed over the years. And 2 memories are very piercing. One was my first visit to Ukraine in 1973, as we drove across Europe, including Soviet-occupied Europe, through the various countries, and then we were held at the border at Przemyśl for 5 hours. It was late in the day. We were the only car on the road. The only other vehicles were Army trucks, and they did not have Western symbols on them. And our car was held there. It was a little car, a rental car. We got it at the airport in France. And as it got darker and darker, I kept thinking, what are they looking for? And one of the most, because it was just my mother and myself that were in the car, and we had very few goods that we were taking in. And one of the most contentious issues was the de-icing on the back window, those little threads that are embedded in the glass. And the charge was that we were sending signals. And so I think the government in those days knew that there was a Voice of America. And I'm not sure how they thought it was broadcast, but as I think back, maybe they thought we were a part of it. And I and I can remember that there was this big chasm that we had to drive over so that they could see if we were taking anything in under the car. And I thought, what would were we trying to bring people into the country at that point? I mean, it was so preposterous. And so I can recall that. And then, of course, driving that road till very late at night toward Lviv, and no one on the road, no lights on the road, and no paved road, just big rocks. And I thought, what if we get a flat? You know, what's going to happen? And so we ended up at what is now the Hotel St. George in Lviv, and we were well watched during that entire journey. So we were just there as Americans, and Americans really didn't go there much in those days. Coming up to the present, I can remember a visit I had, maybe Ambassador Green was there at that point, and I was visiting with some people that I've met in modern times that I didn't know before. And one gentleman said to me, you know, Marcy, we knew some of what was happening because we would crouch in our houses, he said, and we would close all of the curtains, and he said we would turn on the radio and we would listen to Voice of America. And it was just, and you look at their faces and you realize what they have endured. And I boycott a lot of radio and television myself now, and you realize the propaganda value sometimes of broadcasts, and you have to have a very free mind in order to separate out the truth. But it was even hard for them to get any variety of opinion, and how dependent they were on Voice of America, how they longed for it for news, and how it became a part of their vision for what life could be like. And so I just am so honored to be here. I'm proud to be an American, proud to be a part of a Congress that supports the Voice of America. And we have placed in the record, in honor of the 60th anniversary of the Voice of America's Ukrainian service, special remarks, and also the admonition that its mission remains as critical as ever. And we proudly mark this milestone anniversary of year 60. Congratulations. It is just magnificent to be here today, and I don't know, Adrian, would you like to accept it on behalf of the Voice of America of Ukraine? We are so proud of you and proud of what you have accomplished.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.